That's right. A full another week and might be a little behind, but hey, you like it. She takes all my money. Shin Godzilla is something that I didn't get to experience the first time around, right? So I missed the whole interaction of like, is it good? Is it different? Is it weird? Blah 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 blah. But recently, G Kids, good old G Kids, are bringing back the 4K remastered version of Shin Godzilla. And with that, we bring something new to the table. New is a bit speculative because we are dealing with a Godzilla. If we know what Godzilla is a representation of humankind's destruction and what it brings to the mainland of Japan. Which you might be thinking is a bit ironic considering what we just talked about. But don't worry, it gets much worse. We're getting ahead of myself. In this rendition of Godzilla, we have a spiffy looking dinosaur. Dinosaur, yeah, fair enough. And it's interesting to think that this is like the new age, right? Because we see a version of humanity that I don't know if we've had that style or sense. A part of me almost thinks of like the American Godzilla, and as shitty as or as weird as that movie was, I grew up thinking that the Inspector Gadget was the coolest guy ever. So since that guy was in the Godzilla movie, I I liked the I liked the character in that Godzilla movie, and I don't think we've had any other characters like that per se, at least on my side. Godzilla minus one brings good characters, but it wasn't until this film that I almost felt like there was this feeling of like humanity, right? And when you're talking about the destruction of war and what that destruction brings and what it does to the people, yeah, it is pretty important to get the human perspective of things. Not only is it interesting that there's this big lizard going around mainland Japan destroying buildings, but it's how we respond to it. It is the actions that we take after this initial attack, and how those decisions and how the decision of those in puts charge puts us down a certain path, and what that could do for us. You have Japan, you have this big lizard thing attacking the land, and nobody knows where it came from except America. So we go for it, we try, and they fail. It's an interesting scenario, right? You throw whatever you have, you do what you can, and it is not enough. So then the question then becomes, do we stop fighting, or do we give control to a separate entity known as the Americans, to which in this global war against this insanely developed lizard, it is giving all natural rights of its own country and handing it into the hands of a stronger country in hopes of protection. But yeah, you might be saying, so without under the rule of America, would it still be Japan? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the fun begins. Because yes, we have a group of scientists working around the clock to figure out just what can be done to stop this giant lizard before America and all its big-headed dumbasses or people decide to drop a nuke on Japan. Wow, it feels like we've done this before. Yes, Shin Godzilla. But yeah, it's how they present it. It's how they put the people. It's how they have this team of they say it in the movie themselves, of weirdos, like outcasts, weirdos, social, blah blah blah. How they get down to it and just boom, let's work, man. Let's save our country. Let's do what needs to be done. Let's use our Japanese Nihongo brains to stop this calamity. And damn it, it's a fun ass ride. I would say that it even has like akin some shots, some moments in this when you're in the levity of the moment, when you're trying to actually like get things moving, but as humans clearly there's no danger in the immediate moment, so what we do with our time right now is important, and what they do with those scenes is very interesting. They bring the humanity back to the operating table in terms of like the mission operation table, and they show you these fun moments between the casts, not necessarily because it's funny, not because they're trying to be funny, but because just the situation and the gravity of the moment humbles people. It puts them on the same level field, and it has them all understanding, trying to cooperate to get the job done. And I absolutely loved it, man. They have fun interactions. You get to see people kind of like building character with each other. You have the Japanese emissary who has her own skin in the game, but you know, she's Japanese, so maybe she has even more skin in the game than with that. So it's a fun, interesting take on just how serious things could get if one day Japan goes like, well, we don't have the firepower. America, well, back when we had good relationships with the universe, America, please take care of us, Dayo. And within it, we see fun camera like direction, right? We see this destruction portrayed in a more grounded reality. We understand how buildings work in the year 2025, and to see skyscrapers topple down with the flick of a wrist or a lizard tail, and the atomic breath just destroy, lay everything to waste. Yeah, get serious. You know, you pair that with a couple of zoom-in shots to a point where it almost feels like Wes Anderson had a hand in like the direction of photography, and like yeah, it brings this interesting package to the table. Very cool. Very much enjoyed how that all played out, and hoping that like whatever these stories are going for, like say in the future, say there's a Shin Godzilla 2, what they're kind of bringing to the table is as thought provoking and as forward questioning as this was. It really brought a scenario to the table to which I guess a part of me didn't want to acknowledge, but when you lay it out simply as the way that it is, yeah, we would do that as Americans, being like, oh, keep that shit away from our borders. We would be assholes. So, something that I really appreciate with Shin Godzilla is now in the year of 2025 or 2012, whatever year it's supposed to be, we got firepower. You can see specifically what we're throwing at the lizard, and you can see just how far, what effects, and you can understand, at least I can understand, how much destruction has to be invested to even make a dent on this abomination, right? It's called natural abomination. So putting that into perspective, I believe, is the Shin, the new in Godzilla. So if you're curious, if you're wondering what the heck is a Shin Godzilla, should I watch minus one before this? There are alternative universes, I want to say. I don't know. But one of them is World War II era and technology. The other is quote unquote modern day Japan and their technology. And between the two, I like technology. I like to understand what we have, what tools are available to us. So I would say I lean towards Shin Godzilla, but I would say the one-to-one relationship is stronger in Shin Zero. Like the personal the personal journey of what it means to exist in this universe is -1, and the idea of how these moments of destruction affect the universe is in Shin Godzilla. Very cool stuff. Very interesting. A couple people might be iffy on the whole design of Zilla Baby, but hey man, you give me a red dinosaur, I'm gonna be alright. So definitely go check it out if it's still available within your theaters. Again, G-Kids is out there presenting that and publicating that in the movie theaters. So you should still have a couple of days to check it out before it gets pulled out of the rotation. But yeah, some things never change. War, destruction, never changes. Let's get into it. Talking about something despicable. Clearly, a part of me really admires the Japanese culture, Japanese influence, its way of living as we know it today. But what if I told you that the Japan we know, the Japan I know as a fellow American, is has its image has been over saturated with how we see it today to a negative point that we've almost forgotten how destructive a war in Japan really was. And there's something to say about war crimes, depravity, and just how shitty as humans we can be when we're put against a different race, different clan, different, people without any empathy, without any ability to understand, to care, to appreciate, right? Even just down to the culture. What cultures bring to the table, what they do for the world, and how they affect it, and how they can help improve certain parts of our universes. But when people are in your ears telling you that guy sucks, this place is shit, they don't deserve this, they are fucking this, blah blah blah, they do this and they're nothing, caca. It gets very easy to influence a nation, to influence a unit, to influence your people to start hating, to just simply shove any dissimilarities and call that a defect. And there's nothing like human war that brings out the worst in all of us. And I'll say that, man. So I'll be real with you. I was just walking around the movie theater waiting for my next movie, and I hear Japanese in the background, and I know most of the Japanese films that are airing or playing in that moment. So when my brain goes like, that's new, this is different, I walk in and I find deadtorights. Not in my bingo card, but yeah, from the moment I just got closer to the end of the film, I couldn't walk away. I was stuck in that aisle for a good hour before some nice, gentle Asian lady, who's probably Chinese, was like, "Oh, sit down. Come on, sit down." And y'all know when a nice when a nice little like old Asian lady is like, "Oh, please sit down," it's cause it means something to her, and I had to. I had to comply. I sat my ass down in a seat, like one of the shittiest seats, just because I just wanted to make her feel that things were okay. I didn't just ditch her. I actually took her words too hard, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll sit down in a few minutes." And then like 10, 15 minutes later, I came back and I sat down. But just what what was about to be presented to me was something that I wasn't ready personally. And this is coming from a Mexican born American who greatly respects Japanese culture. It was hard for me to watch people that I associated with good, with respect, with patience, and to see them just commit horrendous acts of war crimes. Not just war, war crimes, to the point that everything that was happening in that town could be described as mass genocide. And that's hard, man. That's really hard pill to swallow. Because not only was my brain thinking about the old lady in the back and what she had to either imagine or relive, or stories that she might have heard of this, because she knew exactly what was gonna happen. And she encouraged me to sit the fuck down. And I had to watch, not because anybody was forcing me, right? At any point, I could have gotten up and left to my movie, the movie that I was waiting for, actually. But because I had to see, I needed to know. I couldn't just look away from history and pretend that this never happened. They say that a person dies twice. First time, natural causes. Second time they die is when people start repeating your name. People stop talking about you. People stop remembering that you existed, and you proceed to be gone with the wind. Just another spirit in the water, in the ocean, just flowing with the river, gone forever, never to return. A river cannot flow in reverse. But when you have passion, when you have heart, when you have a story that needs to be told, regardless if it's a happy story or if it's one that's gonna freaking scar you for life, then it needs to be told. And I don't necessarily know where my association lies with Japan at this point anymore. I obviously still care about technology and what they brought to the table, but it's almost like a big eye opener, like a slap to the face to just take a step back and really, really acknowledge we are not perfect. We will never be perfect. There is nothing at the end of perfection. There is no ambition, there is no hope, there are no dreams when everything is perfect. So, accepting that, understanding that, digesting that, carrying that pain, and yeah, maybe carrying a bit of that guilt, a bit of the guilt inside of me that has upheld Japanese culture and Japanese tradition and anime and all this bullshit, and like has not done the same for China. You know, there is, again, an American has opinions about China. Big, big fucking surprise. But at the same time, I don't have my. At the same time, it means something, right? History has to mean something for it to actually matter, or else we start doing the same mistakes over and over again. And I don't know how ready Japan might be to I don't think they are. There's a completely different universe at this point, but basically, TLDR, I'd rather not piss off the Japanese any more unjustly than anybody needs to be pissed off. Chinese, Japanese, it doesn't matter. If you think that Japanese is the kindest, nicest country, that's great. But also remember, nobody is perfect, and they've done shitty fucking things. Yes, under the leadership of shitty men. Yes, this is a platoon that was being led by one asshole who decided to spread his hate to his unit, and in their conquest of a city, genocide was created, was formed. And this film does a beautiful job of presenting the pain and the struggle of the surviving members of China without shying away what it costs, what it takes to actually give your life to a cause, to hope for a better future by providing freedom for those who need it, emancipation for those that are chained. And that's where photography comes in, right? Something I haven't talked about something that I really appreciated is that the main factor holding everything together is photography. The invention of the camera, the ability to capture a moment in time. Everybody loves that power. It's why when they show you a picture, you look for yourself, right? It's our egoism going, how much have I changed? Back then I used to be this person. Who am I now? And that is the magic of photography. Seeing that be acknowledged, seeing that be respected, seeing that be taken for granted, and seeing how even photography can become a weapon in the hands of the most deplorable. Seeing all that is why I couldn't leave. It's why my ass was stuck to that seat, even if it was a weird position with my neck looking all the way up, because it meant something. Every single picture meant something to those people in that city, and every single photo that was taken out of malicious actions was the silver bullet they needed to save their country. It's beautiful. That is art. And again, I'm a little disappointed in myself that I haven't given Chinese culture as much interest as the anime, because that's where it starts from. Anime, Dragon Ball Z, blah 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 blah, a euphemism of a disgraced nation. Not saying right now, but back then. And I can't help But think about Palestine, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, Saudi Arabia, and how them becoming the sporty country, the entertainment industry, how them owning Nintendo and them owning Atari and SNK have stakes investments in SNK, how that is becoming the new Japan. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm not saying they're not allowed to have entertainment. But let's not brush aside all the shitty things we've done just to say, oh, well, we're giving you anime 2.0. This is what you wanted, right? No, because we're better than that. And before we can just be willy-nilly about who we just hang out with and who we spend our time with and who we invest in, we should ask, how are you? How do you feel about these things? And can we see eye to eye? Is there understanding left for us? It's a big world, man. We can fit people here if we try, but just have to care. And I'm gonna do my best to care a bit more about cultures. This is not just, it's not just China, it's not just Japan. I've walked into a couple of I don't even know. I'm gonna call it's Bollywood movies, right? Those interesting, over-exaggerated films, which, don't get me wrong, they're cute, they're great. I've seen a couple of comedies that are just like, wow, this is gold, man. This is hilarious. This is gold. There's one about a weekly TV show where like the guys' girlfriends, soon to be wives, ended up transforming into their grandmas because them wasting time watching that show just reminded them about the future they would be. It's just so good. It's so good. It's just, and that only comes from certain cultures, from certain experiences that have came together to make this image complete. And that's what I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled out for going forward. Yes, I do love Japan. I love Japanese, the language. I've spent a decade of my life trying to understand where they come from. And turns out I know nothing at all. So with that, open a book, watch a documentary before the AI goes over and scrambles everything into lies. And do your best to take it easy. Try not to beat yourself up about it too much, but also accept the emotions, the word, the feelings that are being portrayed. And hopefully, with luck, we can move forward in peace together, possibly. So I'm not sure how long this is going to be out there. I believe this is being promoted part of the LA Film Festival or something like that. I just saw a lot of posters around my area, and this was shoved in a corner with all those flyers and posters and stuff. But definitely, if you get a chance, Deadtorights is what the movie is called. Very, very good film. Very, very good film. It reminds me of something like Enemy at the Gates. If anybody has seen that film, it is a old World War II movie with Jude Law and I forgot the other guy. But that kind of the idea of like how good people can become terrible when pushed to their humanitarian limits is what we're seeing here. So definitely check it out. And if you're curious about war and what that means to the people, highly recommend digesting this film. Rough stuff, but good, necessary. Because finally, woo! Man, did you know that Saul Goodman, he's got a few moves. Nobody 2. It is a continuation of the Nobody film, the film where Saul Goodman saw Keanu Reeves and he's like, wait a minute, I could do some of that. And yeah, we get more of that. Disclaimer, I did not see the original one. It's still on my bucket list. But seeing this, you know, the movie that I was supposed to be at when I was watching Deadtorights, seeing this and seeing what they bring to the table, I'm kind of in. It's a cute little film. It's about family. It is about family. And it's about the family trying to have a vacation because at this point we find, I'm just gonna keep calling him Saul Goodman. We find Saul Goodman trying to get his shit together, and for all intents and purposes, right? He's not the most job, he doesn't fit the job mold. So necessarily it's harder for these certain types to stay within the lines because naturally we know better. And yeah, in the moment, in a interesting plot twist of events, you find him and his family in the middle of an operation where they should not be, but like the good saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And that is what it's all about, man. Family. This guy steps up, takes care of does his best to take care of his family, both physically and emotionally. And to the point where, since it is the second one, we actually get the introduction of new cast members. One, Christopher Lloyd. Yes, that's right. If you've ever seen Back to the Future, Doc Brown is the father of Saul Goodman. Can't make this shit up, man. But not only that, we get the inclusion of his super cool brother, which just happens to be a dual wielding katana man. And yeah, that was pretty cool. I tend to appreciate fun little twists like that. So it's does its job on the acting department. They're not great actors. Saul Goodman is a decent portrayal of human being, but you see, I can kind of notice just how far his limitations are. Not that it's terrible, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we're here for the action film side of things. But all in all, good fun, good choreography. I can see the believability. Some moments were a bit like, okay, yeah, that's not, you would have been shot like a while ago. If these guys were actually trained men, you would have been blasted. But it's nonetheless, it's still fun to see a middle-aged father do his goddamn best to protect what matters most to him. And if Dominic Toretto didn't tell you, it's family. So yeah, cute scenes, fun little emotional moments of, again, family just being family, and the men stepping up to get the job done. You know how I feel about men in Hollywood as of late, but don't worry, Mama Bear's got some skills up her sleeve too. So I'm just saying, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's all works out, man. It's teamwork. When you're out there, you're building a family, it is about teamwork. You don't want to have two opposing heads being like blah 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 blah. You want to be like, hey man, I love your mother, listen to your mother. Unless daddy's got to step up, and it's a different situation. You don't want to be in that position, son. Just be cool, okay? So yeah, definitely something fun out there. If you haven't seen the Nobody series, now is your opportunity to watch the first one. I believe is on Amazon, and then you can go to the theaters and watch your second one, which is still being portrayed in Dolby Theater, which is how I like to watch the fun action pew-pews. So within those fun iterations, I will hope that you find something entertaining, educational, and hopefully life-changing within them. So highly recommend those 3 movies: Shingodzilla, Deadtorights, Nobody 2.
maybe in that order. If you can stomach like violence and like serious war crimes, I would say Deadtorights is your go-to. If you want to watch a fun, not fun, a interesting alien invade Japan, then you already know what you're getting with Godzilla. And if you want to watch Saul Goodman kick some fucking ass, nobody, baby. But hopefully within all those, you have something fun to check out. And hopefully you've enjoyed this short abbreviation of what is in theaters this week, last week. I'm gonna keep on trying to do my best. I'm working on schedules to just get things down to a science so I can just start doing things chronologically well instead of, doing something, having to go meet people and then do 10 more other things before sitting back down and delaying my gym time, because right after this I have to go to the gym apparently. And then we can go watch opening night live. So keep it locked, stay tuned, and I hope to see you again soon. But it's been your boy, EXP66, wishing you a buenos dias, buenas tardes, an awesome lift, and a great GamesCon. But until then, hasta la próxima. Chao. Mátane.